I guess the first question I have is why? Why did you do what you did? And first off, tell us what you did and why you did it.
I would say it was approximately 9:30, 10 o'clock a.m. I was out in the yard with the forklift lifting scrap wire, and I was using a rope to put it into, we have these like recycling bins. Mm-hmm. When I was done using the rope for that purpose, I just had it in my hand and I made a noose knot with no malice behind it. It was just earlier in the morning I had heard something about an incident at the water plant where there was a noose found, and it was I didn't know anything else about it other than the noose was found. And I don't know if that just put something in my mind, noose, but I made a noose and I put it on the forklift right behind me. Mm-hmm. And there was no intent, there was no malice behind that. It's something I've made in the past. Mm-hmm. There are noose knots around the Groth Street facility. I'm sure there isn't anymore, but there has been in the past, and there's been no intent behind them. It's just linemen tying knots and all kinds of different knots. And I had a noose knot tied and thrown to me before, and I just thought, oh, that's cool. How'd you tie that? And from watching that knot, I learned how to do the knot.
The question in the community is, this had happened at the water plant allegedly more than a week ago. You say you just heard about it yesterday morning, is that correct?
Yes.
How did it escape your knowledge, given that it had been in the news and such a topic of discussion around town?
I was on a family vacation in the Bahamas. Okay. And I returned to work Tuesday, and Thursday was the first time I heard of it. I only heard it from hearsay. I heard a couple guys talking, mm-hmm. and that was the only thing I knew about it. Mm-hmm.
What did the nooses mean to you?
Trick and knot tying, just knot tying.
African American individuals say that to them the noose means something much different. To them they say this is a threat, this is something that was used to lynch people, to kill people. You weren't aware of that at all?
Not at all.
Okay.
I learned of that last night. Okay. I always thought of a noose knot as like cowboy Indian, or the way criminals were dealt with, if they're prosecuted, Okay. I never thought of it as a racial thing. I didn't know that at all. Okay. I've made these knots before and displayed it in the same way, and it was never a problem. I had no idea that I was doing something that was offensive, because it wasn't offensive in the past.
Describe for me, you made the noose knot, you put it on the forklift, you went on about your business, and this was 10 o'clock sort of time frame, is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened next? What's the next time? When did this come to your attention, that this might be an issue?
The superintendent, Mike Patterson, drove up to me and said, what the hell are you doing with that? And I said, what? And he goes, that knot, that noose. And I go, nothing, I have it on the forklift, like always have ropes tied back there. And he goes, you know what the hell's going on around here? Are you trying to bring the problems over here? And I go, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, are you aware of what happened? And I said, I heard this morning something about a noose over at the water filter plant, and that it was left for somebody and nothing else. And he goes, take that down right now. I said, okay. I took it down.
Does this mean the same thing to you right now as we sit here as it did 48 hours ago?
No, a noose, now I know that it's considered, it could be considered racial. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea of that. I mean, as an example, I probably learned 3 years ago that a Confederate flag is considered racial. I never thought a Confederate flag was racial. I thought a Confederate flag was simply Southern people that felt the South was better than the North, and they dwell over that. They fly the flag, you know, like a kind of a backwoods attitude, you know. And I just learned that. I learned that from a black male that I work with, that he perceives that flag as racial, and I was like, I had no idea.
What would you say to someone who says, and folks in the community have said this, anybody who displays a noose at a workplace should be fired? What do you say to the person?
I think it depends on the intent of the noose. If you're just making knots, I don't see that as a problem. But if you make that and you intentionally place it someplace for somebody to be offended by, that's a different story. I mean, if you just are making knots and you made one and you kept it with you, you weren't to apologize to Mayor Tim Davlin, to the city employees of Springfield, and to everybody that lives in the city of Springfield. I'm very sorry. I did not mean to offend anybody in any way.